The Rippaverse is back with a bold new comic. This time, they are diving into the horror genre thanks to the writing skills of Jin and Sylvia Saska. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. Another day, another Rippaverse review. And let me tell you, the Rippaverse, they are not slowing down at all. They are taking their readers, their fans, even newcomers on the craziest sort of adventures. And that is certainly true of Bloodruth. All right, for those of you who don't know, Bloodruth was introduced in Isom number 2 as Isom continues his ill-advised arc, which will conclude with Isom 3. And yes, I have participated in the pre-order campaign for that one as well. Like I like to do with a lot of these Rippaverse reviews, I'm going to read the review that I wrote for my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, and then I am going to expound on those points here on the Studio Jake vidcast. By the way, if you want to check out my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, head on over there. You can sign up. It's totally free, and there are no ads, and I have even more reviews on things like comic books, anime, television, film, and so much more. All you have to do is sign up with your email address or through the WordPress app. I really hope you do because I've got a great review up now for Bloodruth. Okay, so this is what I wrote. First of all, the artwork is fantastic. I rarely purchase black and white editions because I like to read my comic books colorized. However, this gave it an added noir vibe to the story, enhancing it in a surprising way. I also really like the cover. It does a good job of teasing the story and reminding us of why Carita's artwork is so impressive, and that is Deborah Carita, who also did the artwork for Yaira. The Soska sisters return to their element. While I still liked Yaira a bit more, there is no question that they put their best foot forward. I was intrigued when Bloodruth was first introduced into the Rippaverse, and this comic book definitely gave the reader good insight into her origin. You see the tragedy that launched her heroics and how she plans on redeeming her family. I look forward to seeing how she impacts the Rippaverse in the near future. All right, so I decided to purchase the black and white edition of Bloodruth, and I am very glad I did. Now, obviously, I'm going to use that as an excuse to buy one of the colorized edition. I haven't decided which cover yet, but for now, I'm just going to talk about this black and white version. So first of all, like I said in the review, Deborah Coritas did a fantastic job with this cover. And also, as I previously mentioned, she did the artwork for the first Yaira. Yaira is the character behind me. This is not her work. This is an illustration done by another Rippaverse artist, but she did do the artwork for the comic, which looks fantastic. You should check that one out. That one's still my favorite. Anyway, back to Bloodruth. I really like this. This is such an incredible design here. I really love how they just pulled you into the horror and the supernatural elements of it. So this is Bloodruth. Sydney Bloodruth is her full name. This is a character, if I tell you who he is, it gives too much away, so I don't want to spoil the story, but I really like how he's illustrated, and of course they're surrounded by sort of demonic-looking monsters. And like I said, I am not usually a fan of black and white comics. I have a few exceptions, like Batman Black and White, but the way this is illustrated just really gripped me. Basically what happens is Sydney Bloodruth, she's part of a family that has a cursed bloodline, and they're supposed to protect the world from supernatural dangers like demons who manage to escape from hell or from vampires and other such monsters. She's got these two shadow wolf colleagues and a wyvern. They never really specify if it's a wyvern or a dragon, but it's really cool. Now, in this illustration, you see another Rippaverse staple, and that is Gooding. So Gooding is a polymath. He knows a lot about varying fields of expertise. Magic, however, is not one of them. So he takes Sydney Bloodruth to some clients of his who want to purge a castle they recently bought of some sort of supernatural elements. Sydney goes inside this castle, and she is shocked to find monsters inside, and they really test her skills. So this is the castle. It's even got like a drawbridge on it. I really like how this castle is designed here. And I was really impressed with it. Of course, the Soska sisters are so incredible with their storytelling, and horror is the genre that they started out in. They've developed several horror films like Festival of the Living Dead, like American Mary, but they also have done some action stuff like Vendetta starring Dean Cain, which that's my favorite of the films that they have made. I really like that movie. It's really good. Not to mention, they wrote Black Widow No Restraints play, which is a little Black Widow miniseries from Marvel Comics. It was written during the whole Marvel Now nonsense, but it is a diamond in that rough, let me tell you. And the same goes for Bloodruth. I really like the expansion on her origins. We get to see what is motivating her, where she got her abilities, where she got her powers. Not to mention the quest to purge the castle of the demonic elements that are inside. There is a little bit of a twist at the end of I almost said of the movie. There's a little bit of a twist in the comic that you're not expecting, that you don't see coming, and it sets up Bloodruth for a whole new journey. Now, I'm curious to see, because like with Isom, they're doing the ill-advised arc. Yaira seems to be on an arc as well, although it's not really named. This one just kind of seems to be a jumping off point for the character, and I really think that is cool. It is incredibly well written. I love the Soska sisters. I love the artist, who is Michael Montanat, I think is how you say his name, Montanat. And he did an incredible job with the artwork. I love the artist. I love his illustrations. The way he draws Sydney is really impressive. And the way the designs are made in this comic, it is so amazing. I'm going to show you one of the monsters. I don't like to show too much of the comic whenever I do these reviews because I don't want to give away spoilers, but this is Choke. So this is a demon that Sydney encounters within the castle, one that she has to purge with the help of her shadow wolves. And I really liked this battle. It's really well drawn. It really grips you into the fight scene. And fight scenes are very important to me because I like superhero comics. So the fight scenes have to look impressive, especially to me. That's how I personally feel. And I was impressed with this. The artwork is so incredible. It is so amazing. Now, I will say one criticism I do have of it is, while I like Gooding as a character, I did feel like he was kind of just brought in there just to be there, just so they have another cameo. And I know they're doing that to kind of connect it. Now, if you're wondering, hey, how does this tie into ISOM 2? The story actually takes place before ISOM 2. So they make that clear. One of the cool things about the Rippaverse is they'll put notations like Marvel and DC used to do. Oh, this event takes place before this comic, before this title. I really like that about them. One of my other criticism is I'm not really sure what the rules of magic are in this universe. With Marvel and DC, it tends to be kind of energy based, sort of like a magical field. I believe that Scarlet Witch refers to it as a magical field that is incredibly wild in the DC comics versus the Marvel comics, and crossover that the Avengers did with the Justice League. It's basically, that is how they tap into it, and you learn like enchantments and spells and whatnot to be able to use that as a force for good, like Doctor Strange does along with the Eye of Agamotto. Now, I'm curious to see if they'll dive more into the rules of magic in the Rippaverse, how it plays, how it works in this world. They're definitely tying it to British mythology as well as biblical mythology, so to speak. Now, I believe the Bible is the true written word of God. I'm just saying, in the context of what C.S. Lewis said, it's a myth, but it's a true myth. And they seem to be utilizing sort of British mythology along with Bible stories. Cain is referenced a great deal in Bloodruth. So I'm curious where that's going to go and how the laws of magic are going to play out in the greater Rippaverse. If you like that video, like I said earlier, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment and tell what you think. Let me know what Rippaverse comics you're interested in. I would love to hear about it in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel, become a channel member, or you can head over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. And if you want to know even more about the kind of stuff that I do, head on over to my website. I mentioned it earlier, StudioJakemedia.com. You can also check out my novels, which are available on Amazon.com. And I've got links all over the place, so definitely check those out. And I'll see you next time, right here on Studio Jake.